First up, delighted to welcome former Brexit Secretary and Conservative MP David Davis to the show. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. First of all, let's talk about the news this morning. People are just waking up. Very, very encouraging news. The UK has become the very first country in the world to approve the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine. This is the first one that said they had 95% effectiveness. But, of course, it does have to be stored at minus 70 degrees Celsius, which is a little bit of a problem. We've got 40 million doses pre-ordered, enough for 20 million people. We're going to be rolling it out in this country from Monday. What's your reaction to that?
Well, it's fantastic news. I mean, I think all of the vaccines are good news. As you say, this one's got to be stored at very low temperatures, so a bit difficult for some parts of the world, but for us, I think we can manage that, and it's great news. I mean, all of the vaccines actually tell us one thing, that this is going to come to an end by next summer. That's the big story out of it. That it's going to come to an end because until the vaccines were available, we were facing the prospect of having the sort of agonies we've been going through over in the Commons last night, time and time again. But so this does at least show the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, this is it. I mean, this is certainly the hope. There's always a little bit of me that's worried that actually that there will still be a demand for people to socially distance, to wear masks, to have limits on people mixing indoors and things like that. Do you think that either the public will refuse to accept that? We're told, well, we don't know if the vaccine is going to provide enough safety. And is there a concern that actually an awful lot of these infringements of our civil liberties and our lives are actually going to continue nevertheless?
I think the government will be very unwise to do that once we've got a generally available vaccine, which means more than one available, more than one in circulation. For a very simple reason, I mean, just forget the civil liberty side and so on. When you look at how people respond to requirements to isolate, just take that alone. If they've got symptoms, if they know they've got the illness, or they know they have a problem, you get 90% compliance. If they're asymptomatic, they don't think they've got the illness, you get about 30% compliance. That's what the numbers now show. So in the circumstance where people are vaccinated and people don't think there's a serious risk, attempting to impose that would be impossible. So I think first off, it wouldn't work. Secondly, it will go completely against the grain of our country. We're a country for whom sort of freedom is our middle name. We fought wars for our freedom. We enjoy our lives because we're free. And I think there would be a really, really bad reaction to the government intending to do that. I mean, there'll be some.
Do you think people are just simply going to demand that they get those freedoms back?
I think so. At the point that that we're safe. I mean, we don't hold our freedoms care of the government. Thank you very much. The government holds its powers care of the people. And I think they will, if they see there's no reason for it, and if the vaccines work well. It does introduce another issue, Julia, at some point in the future, and that is how we deal with future pandemics, because this isn't the last one. And the truth be told, most of the Western world didn't really respond very well to this one. We made a load of mistakes.
Well, we did the exact opposite of what the World Health Organization had originally always said you should do in a pandemic. We decided to follow what the totalitarian police state in China did.
Yeah, all those sorts of things we've done wrong. I think we'll have a lot of lessons learned from this. So the next time something like this happens, we'll have a much better response to it, and it will still be intrusive. I mean, pandemics do demand some intrusive measures, but it'll be more carefully thought through and better balanced. Okay. I mean, the difficulty through this one has been, we've been panicking sometimes from time to time.
Well, yeah, sometimes, yes, I think that is slightly the word. I can also ask you about a story in the front of the Financial Times today, pointing out regulatory delays will leave Europe, the EU, trailing not just the UK, but the US as well in the vaccine race because of delays in the meeting of the European Medicines Agency. It used to be based here in the UK, moved, of course, because of Brexit back into the EU continent. But their regulator is delaying meetings to actually talk about giving regulatory approval to these vaccines until later this month, and even as far as January. This is a clear, absolute 100% benefit of Brexit, isn't it? That we are able to give regulatory approval here in the UK without waiting for the EU.
Yeah, I mean, we don't require the European Medicines Agency. I mean, it does sort of slightly beg a belief that they've done this. I can't.
Does it? It doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, no, it doesn't surprise me, but I'm afraid it is a bit of a good demonstration why we're leaving. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm afraid it's just too silly for words. Right?
Let's talk about last night, which is the reason why
Yeah.
we had originally voted counted.
Yeah. By the way, my apologies for the delay. I go for a run every morning, and I twisted my ankle 2 miles away from home.
We'll forgive
I
you.
hobbled back.
We will forgive you. I like that image. Thank you. Well, thank you for hobbling back. So no doubt with your ankle in ice right now as you speak to us. You're one of the 55 Tory MPs who voted against the government.
Yeah.
Another 10 abstained, 6 didn't vote. We had around 17 total. A big rebellion for a party that's got an 18 majority. It was going to go through either way because Labour abstaining on it. We're in the tiers now. 99% of us in tiers 2 or 3. 40% of the population in tier 3, which is lockdown light. There's no question at all. Shops are reopening, but hospitality and no indoor mixing and the like. Are you confident that there is now enough of a groundswell in the Commons among your Tory colleagues and indeed some other parties as well, that they are getting the message that another lockdown is not going to be the answer? Do you think we can safely say now, even though the government says it's not their plan, that they wouldn't be able to get another lockdown through and that we will be able to get out of these tier restrictions?
Well, no, I don't think you can say that the government wouldn't get another lockdown through. I mean, Labour have taken a stance of abstaining, as you said yesterday. I guess their choice was between abstaining and supporting the government. And I think that would be about the same next time. But what this is doing is making it very plain to the government that we don't like the crudeness of these measures. We accept there have to be some measures. Nobody's disputing that. And one of the things I and others were talking about during the debate yesterday is what the alternative is. Because what we're doing at the moment is not fair on people who have got low infection rates very locally, but still fall inside the areas. It's destructive in enormous terms in terms of small business, local businesses, particularly small businesses, and actually it's not that effective. The most effective countries in the world, the East Asian ones actually, sort of South Korea and places like that, but in Europe, just take Europe for a second, the most effective country in Europe at dealing with the problem, actually got 1/5 of our death rates, is Germany. Why is it so effective? Because it's incredibly local in what it does. Incredibly local. It'll lock down a single city of 100,000 people or 37,000 people. Those are two real examples: Gütersloh and Warendorf, or a single factory of 7,000 people, or even a single block of flats of 700 people. It's not locking down Liverpool with 1.5 million, or Manchester with 2.8 million, or my area, Yorkshire and Humberside, 4.7 million. If you've got that big a lockdown area, a lot of people are going to break the rules, and it's not going to work. You can't police it, and it's not going to work very well. And so, on all 3 counts, on fairness, on effectiveness, on economic damage, there are better ways of doing this. I think that one of the reasons the government hasn't done it yet is its test and trace system hasn't been sufficient, what they call granular, sufficiently detailed.
And again, that hasn't been done locally as it has been in other countries.
That's right. And I think it's getting better. I think by the day that's getting better. So I think when we come back to this in January, February, I think the government's going to have to come back with something much more precise and less damaging.